We live in a society obsessed with epistemology, the study of how we gather data, conduct science, and build knowledge. We track how information flows and celebrate our ability to map the world. This creates a specific expectation that ignorance is a natural vacuum, a dark frontier destined to recede as education and the internet shine light into the empty corners of the human mind. Yet, despite having a supercomputer in every pocket and immediate access to raw facts, public misinformation is actively expanding. This paradox is the core of agnotology. It is the study of non-knowing, the investigation of the specific rules, creators, and architectures that define what we don't know. We are dealing with a manufactured commodity. This type of ignorance is actively constructed, maintained, and weaponized against the public interest. The first mechanism of agnotology is selective choice. Every intense focus on one subject inherently obscures another. When European colonizers arrived in the Americas, they encountered an environment of overwhelming complexity. Colonial botanists filtered this landscape for profitable resources. They prioritized extraction, meticulously documenting plants like the cinchona tree because its bark provided quinine, a vital treatment for malaria. At the same time, they actively suppressed indigenous knowledge that conflicted with imperial goals. Local women utilized the peacock flower as an effective abortifacient, but the empires needed a rapidly growing population to settle new territories. As a result, that medical knowledge was deliberately excluded from the scientific record. Historical knowledge rarely vanishes by accident. It is filtered and erased by the specific priorities of those in power. The second mechanism is active construction. The historical blueprint for this deliberate deception comes from the big tobacco crisis of the 1950s. By the mid-century, the industry faced an existential threat, undeniable emerging clinical data linking cigarettes to lung cancer. To fight back, the industry weaponized medical authority to create a false sense of safety, launching massive ad campaigns built around scientifically coded health guarantees. They mimicked the language of the laboratory to mislead. By printing authoritative-looking doctor's reports and funding decoy research into harmless biochemistry, they successfully branded the hazard as an open controversy. They learned that whenever new cancer data appeared, they could simply demand more evidence. The industry realized they didn't need to actually disprove the link to cancer. They only needed to manufacture enough doubt to keep smokers smoking and stall government regulation. As one internal tobacco company memo famously put it, "Doubt is our product." A third mechanism is passive genesis. Institutions can bury the truth simply by starving it of capital. This chart shows federal energy research budgets over time. When a new administration took office in 1980, federal funding for solar energy research plummeted to zero. The technological progress of an entire renewable energy industry was effectively frozen in place. By cutting off the capital that powers the scientific method, the state can effectively atrophy an entire industry's collective expertise. Yet, there is a concept known as virtuous ignorance. Sometimes the absence of knowledge is an ethical requirement. Consider a courtroom. To prevent catastrophic bias, juries are kept blind to a defendant's past criminal history. We design institutions around this intentional blindness to protect the possibility of a fair trial. Similarly, archaeologists often hide the locations of newly discovered ruins. They hold back data to protect vulnerable historical sites from looters. We live in a volatile mix of raw data, ethical omissions, and strategically crafted deception. Every day, our media feeds serve up conflicting studies, endless calls for more research, and manufactured outrage. Navigating the modern world requires a new type of media literacy. We have to stop looking strictly at the data we are handed and start examining the blank spaces to ask, who benefits from keeping us in the dark?